Hey everyone, so One Piece chapter 1004 just came out, and we finally transitioned away from that epic rooftop battle back to the lower levels just to check in on what's going on. So a little bit sad we don't get any more of that rooftop battle, at least for the moment, but I assume we're going to be going back there soon to see what Kaido's hybrid form is up to. Obviously Luffy has that 10-minute time limit, so maybe we'll catch up just as the time limit's about to come to a close and see what kind of wreckage Kaido's hybrid form has brought about. But for the moment, we're on the lower levels, and what we started with is first of all seeing finally the Kibidangos come into use. So I think we all knew at some point that the Kibidangos are going to be useful, especially once we saw, way back in Act 1 that Tama was able to tame Speed with a Kibidango. So here we basically get a bit of an explanation, first of all, on how Tama got here. That was a bit of a hanging question mark. Not really a big question mark, but this can finally put to bed some of the theories people had. Because as Tama said, she came here on an enemy ship. A lot of people were throwing things out like the revolutionary armies have shown up, the Marines have shown up, Tama got on board one of those ships and everything like that. But no, it was an enemy ship in the sense that she was with headliners and everything like that. But now Speed is going around basically like a drug dealer, just handing out these Kibidangos to all of these unsuspecting gifters who are now just going to be switched over to their side. Interesting to see that the, prison vice warden is there too. So this has always kind of been, we've been waiting on this for a little bit. This was the Alliance's ace in the hole. Obviously this wasn't part of their battle strategy for whatever reason. It was not part of their actual battle strategy, but now that Tama's here, they're able to actually do that. And she may be, at this point, she may be one of, if not the biggest factor in swinging the momentum of this war in general, because at the moment it does feel like this was a sort of a shift in the tides against the Beast Pirates, whereas last chapter, we had CP0 with their go board and everything out, talking about how the Alliance side is feeling more and more trapped and surrounded, and there's fewer and fewer ways out. This is kind of the ace in the hole that can hopefully just shift the momentum in the totally opposite direction, right? So let's wait and see on how far this goes, if the Beast Pirates have anything they can do to stop it. We see it happening on the lower levels as well with Nami and Usopp, but we'll get to that in a second. First of all, let me touch on Sanji and Black Maria. I can't say that I enjoy seeing, this is very, very reminiscent of the Sanji Khalifa situation, and I didn't mind it back then, but we're getting it again here. It is a situation that we generally a lot of us don't like seeing Sanji in, just because it feels like I understand his character, it makes sense not for him to do that, but then at the same time it can feel a little frustrating because I want to see him get out. Maybe he doesn't have to fight Black Maria, but at least get out of there, go fight Queen or somebody else. Obviously we know that he's not going to sell out Robin, so that's going to be a bit of a test for him, but we know he's not going to sell out Robin. I will say that I do think that Robin is going to get up there anyway and face off against Black Maria. Sanji even comments, don't underestimate Nico Robin. And I mentioned, I've mentioned a little while back that I do think that Robin versus Black Maria seems like a good matchup. I wouldn't even be surprised if it's Robin and Brook against Black Maria, since Brook's the only one who's kind of still hanging around without a, clear upcoming matchup for him. Sanji, I do think that Sanji is going to end up fighting Queen, mostly because I don't think that Marco can fight King and Queen at the same time for a prolonged period of time. No knock on Marco, but I just think that would be kind of absurd if he's able to fight King and Queen at the same time. I mean, Marco versus King, great matchup. Let's see more of it. But I do think that Sanji should be able to get out at some point in time and go help with Queen. I do think that's the matchup that's been set up for him. So fingers crossed for that. I do think it's going to happen. I know that Oda's not just going to have Sanji sidelined and trapped for the entire rest of the arc. So there's no need to worry about that. It just does, it gives you a bit of a pause every time you cut back to Sanji and he's still stuck in the same situation. So, Sanji aside, what's interesting is that Black Maria mentioned that there are red scabbards, I guess, on the basement floor or in a room much lower down, and they're being tended to by some mystery figure. I'm just going to talk about that right now. I think because it was a throwaway panel towards the end. Not a throwaway panel, but a one-off panel towards the end where we did get to see a silhouette of this person. I'm going to talk about it now. I saw some comments of people saying it's NL. No, I really, it just makes no sense on so many levels. If the only thing you're going off is the, the long earlobe looking thing, then I don't know what to say. It's not NL. It just can't be NL. I'm all for NL returning to the story. But if Oda's big return appearance for NL is the middle of the Onigashima War to take care of the Red Scabbards that he's never met, and also he's not really a healer or a kind person. It would make no sense on so many levels. But I think some better bets are Toki or Hiyori. I would prefer Hiyori because I do think Toki showing up out of the blue like that would be a little strange, unless there's like a really strong explanation of this was Toki's whole plan, she actually moved forward in time or something like that to get to this point, something like that, when she knew the final battle would be interesting. I do want to see Toki's reappearance in the story, but to have her just pop up right here would be a little crazy. Hiyori, on the other hand, I think we can all definitely imagine that Hiyori did actually make her way over to the final Onigashima battle. I think she's been one of the more important characters in the Wano arc so far, so for her to be in the, involved in the battle just makes sense. So I would prefer to see Hiyori involved in some way, just because I would rather that her character not just be off to the side for the entire arc till the battle's over, if this is the final battle. Till the battle's over and then she just pops up and is like, congratulations everybody, you did a good job. So, hopefully it's Hiyori. Let's say this. Toki's the more interesting pick. My current hope is that it's Hiyori though, just because I want to see her involved in the action of the conflict. So, all that aside, the main scene of the main scene of the chapter, I really enjoyed the scene was, first of all, Frankie versus Sasaki. I do think that this is just, I've mentioned this before, I think it's a great matchup. It's tank versus tank. It just works, it fits. As far as I can tell, Sasaki is still in his full animal form, full dinosaur form, the same way that Kaido just transformed into a hybrid. Sasaki has not yet done that. I think most of the Beast Pirates have not yet done that. I think that Who's Who, last we saw him, he was not in his hybrid form. I think Page 1, last we saw him, he was in his full beast form. So I think for whatever reason, a lot of these guys are waiting a little bit to transform into their beast form. Ulti, I think it looks like she's in her hybrid form, but I have to take another look, right? So, regardless, I liked Frankie versus Sasaki, getting a little bit of action there, a little bit of Kaido Big Mom type action. So just some good old-fashioned Straw Hat fights. So Frankie versus Sasaki, I liked starting with that. And then I also really liked Usopp and Nami, I guess pulling one over Sasaki, them coming in with all of the gifters behind them. I was kind of like, okay, this is the classic, Usopp and Nami are in trouble situation. And then them flipping it and basically being like, we got you, these guys are all on our side now. And then them basically jumping Sasaki's gang. I thought that was like a really great, small Usopp Nami moment that I enjoy. I love seeing those two as a duo. Those two are a great duo. You can say that it's the weakling trio with them and Chopper, but really it's more so the weakling duo, because Chopper really is able to, I'd say, much more frequently just step up and actually be strong. I think Chopper is a character that kind of just forgets that he's strong and very capable of fighting, whereas with Usopp and Nami, they are legitimately just normal people who, they can obviously step up and do incredible things, like I think that they're about to take out Ulti and Page 1 very possibly, or have a good shot at taking them down, but they really need to kind of like prep, get their stuff together, create traps, create plans, create setups. Like, them winning a fight that's notable it's like climbing a mountain, right? So, bottom line, I've always enjoyed, all the way going back to Usopp's hometown arc, Syrup Village, right? Even from that arc, I've always enjoyed the Usopp-Nami duo, just because there's so many situations where they're just left by themselves, like in that Syrup Village arc. Zoro and Luffy were having trouble getting to the slope, so it was just Usopp and Nami for a little bit having to face off against, odds that were way, way, way off, not in their favor, right? So I've always enjoyed that. I really hope that this fight continues. I do hope that Frankie does not interfere in their fight that much, because I would like to see them struggle and figure a way out to win against these two themselves, right? But it's cool that they at least ran into Frankie in the midst of this, and maybe there's some conversations or interactions that happen before. Again, I do hope that these things split off a little bit. Nami did nail Ulti with a Thunderlance tempo. Good to see an old school attack coming back into play. I assume it's much stronger than it was back then, because I assume that the attack from back then would have done nothing to Ulti. But even right now, as we see, that level of lightning does not affect Ulti. I've said before, though, that lightning is in certain series, the author writes the rules of how effective certain things are made out to be. Like in some series, lightning or like electricity is just electricity, and it doesn't mean that much more than fire. In One Piece, generally, from what I've seen, like I think the general trend is that lightning is super effective in One Piece. It's a very, very effective, hyped up ability. It's very rare. Like fire, everyone and their grandma can use fire. I don't know. Like everyone just gets random fire attacks for no reason. Lightning is generally more rare. I'm talking like lightning, not like the Minx Electro and stuff like that, right? And generally when it comes out, it's very effective even against very strong characters. So that's why Nami has always been the biggest glass cannon of the crew in my eyes. So I do think that when she's talking about I need an even bigger lightning, like just the fact that a normal Thunderlands tempo can do that to ulti. When Nami's talking about, I need a much bigger lightning bolt than that, in my mind it's going to, okay, is she going to get Zeus back somehow over the course of this fight, right? If she gets Zeus back over the course of this fight, then we could see something like what she did in Whole Cake Island, which, it obviously didn't stop Big Mom, because that's Big Mom, but it did at least, slow her down, I suppose, a little bit. So if it does that to Big Mom, then, I don't know, whatever, it would take out ulti and page 1 in one go. Probably just ulti because Oda have Usopp take out page 1. But bottom line, I'm hoping that, this larger lightning bolt or whatever, I do hope it's her getting Zeus back in some shape or form. That's what I would like to see. I do want to see Nami get that full power up back, but I would like to see her do well first without it, and then somehow get that in as sort of the final finisher or something like that. Don't know if there's any logical way that would play out, with Big Mom being so far away from them right now, and Zeus being totally in her control again. But one person can hope, right? Anyway, the raid is still going to end in failure, I think. I don't know, maybe I'll put out like a video talking about that at some point down the line. But it is looking pretty bad for me, but I still believe, and I can share my reasons why. I can still believe, I can still hope, but I have to acknowledge things are looking pretty bad for me, especially with the way the chapter ended, with Frankie getting in that big slash-in against Sasaki. I mean, that looks like he's doing pretty well, right? It doesn't look like he's going to lose to Sasaki, in my opinion. But I still think he could. So that's all for this. If you enjoyed, then definitely like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you all next week.